Okay, this is going to be the start of our artificial intelligence, and also we are going to start slowly working through this, and you're going to fill out some questions, answer questions, etc., to make sure you understand what we're doing. So we're going to be doing things a little bit differently now. So the emphasis being understanding what you're doing instead of just copying it and then having no idea what you did. So first I want to cover one thing. If you're not getting sound from your non-gun, you're probably having a problem with your script. So let's take a look at that. This is the Sound Manager script. It's in Google Classroom. Now I want you to understand this is my sound. Okay? So if you're copying my script, make sure you stick with this sound for your weapon. So notice it is the same sound. So if you're copying the script, you should be okay. But if you have a different name for your sound here, make sure it's the same name for the sound in the weapon script. If you're just copy and pasting mine, it should be fine because I'm using both. But if not, you need to make sure that you're choosing that sound. So when you go to your game, that's the sound we're choosing, okay? So the sound manager is using the sound that we chose in that script there. So we want to make sure we have that in there if you're not seeing or hearing your sound. Okay, now we're going to add some artificial intelligence to our game so we can actually play it and have some fun with it. So we're going to be putting a Navmesh in. So that's a designated mesh in Unity which specifies how you can move around in your game. So specifically, it determines where you can walk, where your obstacles can walk, such as enemies, where they can and cannot walk, and whether they can jump or how far they can jump, how high you can jump versus how far they can jump, how big they are, so whether they can fit between corners or fit within like an alleyway between your objects. Some enemies might, some enemies might not. You're going to be controlling all this and playing your game and then changing it. So this is what the nav mesh does, and it's actually artificial intelligence. The enemy is going to follow us like it's thinking on its own. So the first thing we need to do is to make sure we have AI. So we're going to make sure you have AI in your game. So that would be Window, Package Manager, and then make sure you have AI. If not, you need to install it. It should be in there, but in case it isn't, you need to install it. So let's go ahead and create a nav mesh. So we're going to go create AI nav mesh surface. So we're creating AI. The other thing with AI, of course, is here within the window. So this is where we start creating our navigation. So those are the two commands. But for the game object, we're going to create an AI nav mesh surface. Okay, so we look at it and we don't see anything. So it's there. We just haven't baked it. So you're going to come over here while you're on the nav mesh surface and you're going to hit bake. Okay. Now we're going to get this command up here, and it shows us the blue, but if we don't want to see it, we just click that. Now this is the surface our enemy can walk on. Of course we can walk on it too, but this is the surface that everything gets moved on. So if I look at let's zoom in on my player a little bit, we can see that the area beneath us is also has not been baked because it's sort of like reflecting our presence on that ground. So it didn't get baked. So if we moved, this would move with us, and we don't want that. So we're going to, let's use these two as an example. I'm going to turn off my enemy 2. I'm clicking here, this one right here. I'm going to uncheck it right there. So now it's invisible. I'm going to go to my player. I think I'll just turn the player off. And I'm going to go to, I think this is another enemy. And let's uncheck that. That one looks like it's already been baked. And I think this is my bullet stone impact here. I kept like an image of it in there just so you could see it. I'm going to turn that off too. Now I'm going to go back to my Navmesh surface, and I'm going to bake. Now all of those are gone. All of those are gone. So before you actually do this, I want you to create a couple enemies. So let's go back and turn everything back on. By the way, you could put a fence around your game, around this entire area, so that you couldn't fall off or you couldn't go off, or maybe just a part of it where you couldn't go off, and then hide it. So they would bang into that fence you made, cubes or however you design it, and they wouldn't see it. So they would just know they can't fall off or they can't go any further, and then you would just hide it. So let's go back and unhide these things. And we're going to unhide the enemy. Unhide the enemy 2. And unhide our bullet spawn. And now if we go to our player, we can see everything's baked. Okay, now are going to start determining where we can walk and where our enemy can walk, and then we will have some Navmesh agents where we're going to control, like my enemy, how fast it can go, the speed, and we can also change the size and height and everything. So if I have like those cargo containers, it may not be able to get through. Maybe this one can, but this one can't. So they're going to follow me, and if I go up here, I go between like a alleyway, this one may be able to follow. This one would have to go all the way around the obstacle. If there's like a cargo container or something, or if there's something here, they'd have to go around. This one, the smaller one, could maybe go through that. The bigger one, if it can't, because we make it big, it's going to have to go around it. And they will, like they're thinking on their own, be able to play. So I want you to get that done. And don't forget to save a scene. And I have my AI, and I'll put AI bake. So now I know what's going on there. And also, if you ever get lost within your scenes, you can go to your scenes and click on the date modified. So you can keep going, opening one until, if you made a mistake, till you found the one where it was still working without the mistake, and open that one up and save it immediately under a different name and mess around with it. So, and also if you've had run into a problem, I expect you to redo the project. I could take this project and in a couple minutes redo it. I could create that bullet stone effect. I could create the material stone bullet hole. I could create the game references. I could make that bullet, make the bullet a prefab. I could do all these prefabs, dragging them down, and the scripts are in Google Classroom. So I think I could redo this whole project in one class period. So if you have to redo it, that's okay. Get on there. And this is like a fence I made. So we will be designing some fences and, playing our game. And I made my speed a lot faster. So I'm going to have some cargo containers in here that I'm moving around, and I have to get through, and so my enemy will be following me. The other part of the game is the shooting. So if you're shooting, whatever gun you have, whatever non-gun you have, and whatever amount of bullets you have in there, or ammunition, That's all you can shoot. Now, I have to reload. So if I push R, it's going to take a second and a half to reload. So when these enemies start following me, I got to allocate those 6 bullets to make sure I just don't go fire them. And now here come all these enemies, and I can't defend myself. So keep that in mind. There's going to be some logic behind our game. And again, while you're working with it, you can always turn that nav mesh on or off. Anyway, I want you to pay attention to this video because right now you're going to answer some questions that came from it. So you may want to watch it twice.